Hey everybody, Matt Malden with Apollo Acres here. Today I'd like to tell you a little bit about our sheep, why we raise them, and why they might be a good fit for you and your homestead. So let me start off by telling you a little bit about sheep. A practical way I like to think of them is they're automated lawnmowers that can turn your tall, unwanted grass into meat, milk, and wool. Sheep are what's known as grazers. This means that they primarily like to eat grass. This is opposed to browsers like goats that like to eat woodier things, much like tall weeds, vines, saplings. So we have a lot of excess pasture up here that I have to mow. So I wanted to get a good grazer. Now, as you can see behind me, these sheep range from about 100 to 200 pounds. Our biggest one is actually this is our ram right here. He's probably right around 200 pounds. I think this is a really good size if you're new getting into larger livestock. 1 to 200 pounds is relatively manageable. I can put any of these sheep, including this big guy here, down on his butt, wrestle him down, and check him out, check his hooves, whatever I need to do, and get him back up. And this is really nice to be able to do if you don't have a lot of infrastructure yet. You may have to occasionally wrestle them down to check them out. Maybe they have a piece of twine stuck around their neck, or you need to check on their hooves. It's really nice having that flexibility. So it's not too intimidating of a size. Their temperament is very nice. They're very calm, docile animals. As you can see, I've got a couple kind of checking me out right here. So I'm about 6 or 7 feet away from them. So they'll come up to me. They don't generally like me to be right next to them, scratching on them, except for a couple of them. But they're pretty easy going. Now, as you may have already noticed, if you have some animals around your farm, that generally the most aggressive, most dangerous of those animals is going to be your males. Darn men. Our rams here are, well, we just have this one ram with these girls right now. We've got 2 more out in the back, but they're very nice. And actually, our ram here is our friendliest one. Anytime I go in there, he wants to come up and he wants to get scratched. And there's one other ewe that does that too. But most of the time, they like being close, but not too close. Now, as far as the rams, they like to do what is known as, well, ramming. And this is just something you need to be familiar with. You'll notice if you ever get more than one ram in the same fence, you will inevitably see them where they'll look at each other, they'll square up, they'll take a bunch of steps backwards, and then they will run full speed from about 40, 50 feet apart and smash each other in the head as hard as they can. I can hear their brains rattling around their skulls from inside my house 100 yards away. So they hit very hard. Now, they generally just do this to each other. They don't want to hurt you. But you know, if you're going to get a ram, spend a little time checking him out, being around him, make sure he's not aggressive. You don't want an aggressive ram, because if they wanted to hurt you, they could. So be aware of it going in. This also brings me to another good point. If you're going to scratch on your ram, if he comes up and lets you pet him or whatever, avoid scratching or petting him on top of his head. This is a signal that you want to play with him. And rams like to play by ramming. So, for all you hard-headed folks out there, you're going to lose that fight. So, just avoid scratching them on top of the head. Now, another good thing about these sheep is they are very fast reproducing. You only need one ram for about 50 or more ewes, which is awfully convenient. So for most of you homesteaders, small farmers, one ram is all you'll ever need. ewes have a gestation period of 5 months. So if you push them a little bit, and some people do, you can get 2 lambings in a year. Not only that, but sheep very commonly have twins. So that means one ewe can give you as many as 4 lambs a year. This is really nice if you're on the homestead level, or even maybe wanting to move up to a farm and sell more. You can start off with just a few and get your numbers up very quickly. Now let's talk a little bit about what you'll need, the infrastructure you'll need for your sheep. So first of all, if you're going to consider getting sheep, you will need some kind of fence. This is to, 1, protect your sheep from predators, and 2, to keep your sheep contained where you want them. This is particularly important if you plan on doing rotational regenerative farming. So most of that, you'll probably want to use some kind of polywire electric fencing that's portable. Right now I've got the netting, but throughout most of the year we just do 2 strands is usually enough to contain them. Beyond that, they will need a water source. Right here we've got a 50-gallon barrel that we fill up probably once a week for our 16 sheep in here. They will need food, which is grass, but this time of year, as you can tell, we don't have a whole lot of green grass, if you can tell. So I'm throwing them some hay. This isn't ideal. This will be, if you're throwing hay, this will probably be your largest cost for raising sheep. Now, some farmers, if you have some excess pasture, would recommend stockpiling some winter forage. And this would prevent you from having to buy hay. You would just rotate them through the taller dormant grass and let them eat what's growing there. Now, for more on this, I would highly recommend, you can read Greg Judy's Comeback Farms is a good book, or another really good one is Kicking the Hay Habit by Jim Garish. So be sure to check those out. Greg Judy also has a lot of YouTube videos on this topic. So beyond that, actually let me show you this real quick. So from our water barrel right here, I said we fill about once a week. We've got a little spigot and a hose that runs over to a float valve on about a 10-gallon water trough. This works really well. Keep in mind in the winter, you'll probably have to come out and break ice, but that's a subject for another day. You'll also need, on occasion, it's nice to have a couple of these around. We have one more of these set up the hill a little ways that we use for mineral. Now, we give them mineral pretty often, not all the time. We don't always have mineral out there, but it's a good thing for them to have. They'll be healthier having that as an option. If you don't have mineral out there, you may occasionally notice them pawing or licking at the ground. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get that mineral. So that's a good signal. Go ahead, get you another feeding trough or whatever you want to get, and get some mineral available for them. An important note, though, when you're getting mineral, you can't just get the same mineral you would get for cattle or goats. Sheep are highly sensitive to copper. It's very toxic for them. So you want to make sure that the mineral that you're getting does not have any copper. Beyond that, about the only thing I can think of that you really need for sheep is you're going to want something set up to corral them, whether it's for loading them on a trailer to take to the processor, whether you're going to put tags in their ears or just check out their hooves, whatever it happens to be. This can generally be done with just some cattle panels. Get some heavy cattle panels. You can kind of corral them and herd them into a small area, and it works really well if the panels are light enough that you can move. So you can leave it open and you can kind of herd them into the smaller area. You can close it off, and then you can start moving the your panels in to kind of squeeze them, and that makes them a lot easier to grab. But that's about it. They really don't need a whole lot. Another reason why I think they're a pretty good animal to start with is they're pretty low maintenance. So if you're like us and you've started off with some smaller animals, maybe chickens, guineas, rabbits, and you're ready to move up to some larger livestock, one nice thing is you won't have to deal with as many predator problems as you do with, say, chickens. They are thankfully too big for a lot of predators in this area to go after. About the only predator that's a threat for us out here is coyotes. And we have a lot of coyotes out here. I will say thus far, we have not lost a sheep to a coyote. I'm probably gonna regret telling you that right now. But I think they're just a little on the big size, and we're close enough to town that the coyotes around here are a little skittish, and there's enough other things for them to eat out here that they haven't tried harassing our sheep too bad. But if you're in an area where the coyote is a little more aggressive, maybe you have some larger predators, make sure you have a good electric fence. That will help. And you can also get some livestock guardian dogs. We recently got 2 Great Pyrenees. They help keep an eye on the property and help keep the coyotes at bay. So the other major concern that you're going to want to be well aware of if you think about getting sheep is sheep are very susceptible to parasites, mostly like intestinal type parasites. And what happens is they'll get some bugs in them, they'll poop, those parasites will reproduce, and then if they're staying in the same area, they'll come back around, they'll munch on the ground and the short grass over there where they've already eaten and pooped, and they'll take in even more parasites. And this can cause sheep to go downhill pretty fast. So you want to keep a close eye on your sheep, make sure they're looking healthy, make sure you don't have any, poopy butts or anything like that. But this is also a really good reason why you probably want to rotationally graze your sheep. Most of these parasites have a life cycle of around 30 days. So if you can leave that area alone, get your sheep off of the area and don't let them come back for about 30 days, that parasite load should have dropped dramatically. So I would highly recommend you rotate your sheep and keep them nice and healthy. So now I'd like to tell you a little bit about our specific breed of sheep that we got. They're known as St. Croix hair sheep. So far you may have noticed from the sheep in the background that our sheep don't have horns and they don't look very woolly. And you would be correct. Our sheep are polled, meaning that they're naturally hornless. This is a nice perk because it's safer for you, the farmers handling the sheep, and it's safer for the sheep themselves. Horns have a tendency to get stuck in fencing quite frequently, and that can be, that could kill your sheep, or it means even if you catch it in time, you're gonna go have to wrestle a sheep out from a fence. And that's not something I wanna do. And as I said, they are hair sheep, so no wool. You may be wondering, why wouldn't you want the wool? Well, for starters, wool isn't worth a whole lot. You might be able to get a certain breed, find a niche market, and get some good, decent money for your wool, but in a lot of places, it's just not worth a whole lot. Beyond that, I have zero interest in making it a regular habit of shearing sheep. It just doesn't sound like fun to me. On top of that, wool sheep will spend about 30% of their caloric energy creating that wool. So for us, who doesn't even want to shear sheep, why would we want to these sheep to have to spend all of that energy to generate wool that we don't want, that they could be turned into meat to get them bigger and get them out to the market faster. So we really like having hornless sheep that don't produce wool. Another reason why I really like these is this breed of St. Croix hair sheep was of course bred on the island of St. Croix. So here in Alabama, it's pretty hot and humid throughout the year. So having sheep that were developed in a hot, humid, tropical environment makes them well suited for where we are, particularly, most places in the southeast. This also means that their parasite load will be, well, not their parasite load, but their parasite resistance is also higher. So this breed is much more resistant to parasites, another huge plus. We want our animals to be as low maintenance as possible, and we don't give them any medication. So having animals that are naturally resistant, that are well suited for your climate is very important. Being well suited for their climate, they will be easier to take care of, and they'll be happier animals. And we like happy animals here. Well, that's about it for our overview of sheep. We'll have more detailed videos to come. We really enjoy raising sheep, and I think you might too. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you learned something and enjoyed it. If you'd like to support this channel and us making more content like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you'd like to follow us on X or Instagram where we're most active, you can find our handles in the video description below. We'll also have a link to our website and many of the products and hardware that we use here on the farm that work so well for us. See you next time.